Well, welcome everybody. Welcome to the September 4th edition of Speaking of Zane. How about that? 205th week of Speaking of Zane. We started back in August. I think it was August the 5th, 2018. Oh my goodness. And I set out on the sun porch and this is what, Lori? 4 years ago now, a couple years after Zane passed, and I'm thinking, man, I need to tell the world about this guy. And of course, social media and everything. I thought, man, what's the best way to talk about Zane, to share about Zane, and to make sure that he's not forgotten. Lori and I had this fear, and we didn't know it. We had this fear independently of each other, but we realized together that, man, we don't want this guy to be forgotten. And man, I just on a Sunday afternoon, I got to thinking, and my mind started going. And early evening, I said, I'm going to go live and talk about him. And I did that. And turns out that was August the 5th of 2018. And, you know, they say a person dies twice, once when they take their last breath, and then again, if their name is no longer spoken. And we just couldn't bear the thought of that. So, and I have a loud mouth. I'm a blabber mouth. So it seemed natural that I would take to the air, so to speak, and talk about Zane. And it has really turned into so much more than that. And if the result of speaking of Zane in some way helps someone, then it's worth it. And I know that I get such a thrill out of talking about Zane. I get such a sense of pride telling people about Zane. I love to hand out challenge coins. Speaking of Zane, challenge coin, I love to hand those out to people. It's like I'm giving a part of Zane to someone else. I did that 3 times just over the last few days. I'm going to talk about that. But anyway, so good to have everybody in here. Lori's in here. Colin Krim, my old commander at the 513th Avionics Maintenance Squadron RAF Mildenhall, UK, is in here. Colin, are you going to be at the reunion again this year in a couple of weeks? There's my cousin Toby. There's my pal Steve Shirley. Steve Shirley and I tell you, we have a special little bond from a trip we took to Navy London on one of our trips to Mildenhall. This wasn't when we were stationed at Mildenhall. We were at Mildenhall together and flew a lot of missions together, pulled a lot of alert at Lodges together. But this was after we were both back at Offutt, and we got picked to go on this trip to Mildenhall. We had both been there. I knew all the ground stations, the links, and all the procedures and everything. Steve and I get there. We had trouble with the circuits, and one of our circuits runs down through Navy London, Delta Golf 60. Was it, Steve? Am I right? Oh, my God. Anyway, they were having trouble down there, and Steve and I, they decided that they needed to send a couple of people down there. Steve and I went down there. We had a personal driver, took us from Mildenhall all the way to downtown London, Navy London. And I was not prepared for it. I had blue jeans and cowboy boots. That's all I remember, Steve, was I stuck out like an American without a doubt. But anyways, one of my most memorable little excursions, Steve. But good to have you in here from Papillion, Nebraska. There's my cousin Toby. Hey, Toby. Matt Aaron, one of Zane's battle buddies up in Michigan. Hey, Matt. My good friend Daryl Cottrell. I tell you what, Daryl. Daryl had an impact on a lot of young airmen. I was one of them. I was probably 18 years old when I first met Daryl, and he ran the swing shift. And I was working, I did a rotation on swing shift there at the pack shop in the E4 hangar, and Daryl was leading the swing shift. And man, I wish I had got to talk more to Daryl about his time in Hawaii and his time in Thailand and all of that. And I was just so young and stupid. I didn't think to mine that valuable information, but I've had an opportunity to build a really good relationship with Daryl all these years later. But Daryl, thank you for being a mentor and just a guy that shaped a lot of young airmen like me. There's my buddy Ken in there, who I met through Steve. Turns out Ken was a missile officer, and that was near and dear to our heart because we're in the business of launching a retaliatory strike in the Air Force. And I've never met Ken face to face, but Ken, I feel like you're a good friend of mine, and I look forward to meeting you face to face, give you a really firm handshake and a strong hug sometime soon. There's my Aunt Mary down in, that's my dad's youngest sister. No, wait a minute. All right, Aunt Mary, help me here. Are you older or is Aunt Betty older? Anyway, I think Aunt Betty's older. I think Mary is the youngest. There's my Aunt Cindy watching, speaking of Zane. Hey, Aunt Cindy over in Alabama. Good to have you in here tonight. Lori says, if you need a good giggle, turn on the monitor in your grandbaby's nursery when they stay over. Absolutely hysterical. She sings, kisses every last item. Yeah. She's just down the hall with me, about 10 yards. Little Carson Sky is over with us for a few days. And that girl, I'll tell you, she's almost 3. Lori and I are almost 60. Those two ages don't match because this girl runs circles around us, and she is the daughter of the devil. That's the only way I can say it. This girl is, oh my God, incredible. But anyway, she's adorable when she goes to bed. And she's in bed right now, just down the hallway here. But she has the little ritual that we go through at bedtime, and she adheres to it. And if I get anything out of sequence, then she lets me know about it. But what an adorable little girl. Well, I'm sorry to hear that, Colin. I did enjoy seeing you in San Antonio, but maybe we'll see you on the next one. Jimbo Miller's in there. Let's see. All right, Ken says, absolutely, yeah. That'll be a big old bear hug, Ken. Aunt Betty is older. Yeah, Aunt Mary's the youngest, according to Toby, my cousin. All right. Yeah, Daryl, we all looked up to you. I was 18 when I met Daryl. Daryl was in his 30s already, a seasoned vet. Had done a tour in Thailand, had done so many things I wish I had known more about back then, but we had just a few things on our mind when you're 18 and 19. No. All right. Well, hey, good to have everybody in here tonight for sure. And I appreciate you guys. Like I mentioned time and time again, you guys provide great therapy for me. I don't go to a doctor for any of my PTSD. And I certainly probably have some. I mean, walking in on your son who has just passed and is beginning to turn purple, and you try to revive him, and your wife and your youngest son are standing there. It's a thing you can't shake. I don't know. It's an amazing thing. But anyway, this is my therapy, and appreciate you guys being part of it. All right, let's see. So what do we got going here? Wow, I have had an incredible, hey, Katie up in Michigan, a wife of Sergeant Aaron, who It's one of Zane's battle buddies, Matt Aaron. All right, let's see. So I had an interesting few weeks. I actually took some time off. First couple of days off I've taken, I think, since March. I have great flexibility. I do what I want when I want. I work from home for the most part, but to have a day where I disconnect from work and I hand my work off to one of my associates, I don't do that very often, as often as I should, but I did this week, and it was for a special reason. My friend Greg Bandish, Senior Master Sergeant Greg Bandish, invited me to attend his retirement ceremony from the United States Air Force up in Williamsburg, Virginia. He's currently stationed at Langley Air Force Base, Virginia. And I could not turn that down. And originally, Lori and I had thought we would drive up there together, but circumstances just didn't work out, and I ended up flying. But I met this guy, Greg, during our time in Savannah, and he was stationed actually with the 3rd Infantry Division at Fort Stewart. And he was an Air Force guy, but his job was to be embedded with the 3rd ID and make sure all the comm gear was working for the TACPs. And I met him there because he's an amateur radio operator, and he came to one of our club meetings, and I found out he was in the Air Force. We kind of hit it off, and really could relate to him. Really stand-up guy. And this was about, had been in the Air Force maybe 10 years at that point, and we got along real good. I invited him out to the mighty 8th Air Force Museum, and I said, hey, come on out. We're doing this thing with the B-17 bomber and this and that. And he came out and spent some time with us. He got to do a little work on the B-17, him and a couple of his colleagues, and we did some exercises together with the Georgia National Guard and some other stuff. And anyway, I don't know if I made an impression on him or what, but all these years later, 10 plus years later, he invites me by name to come attend his retirement ceremony. And like I mentioned, he's at Langley, and he lives in Williamsburg. And he said, yeah, my retirement ceremony is there in Williamsburg at a winery, Williamsburg Winery. I said, man, I'll be there. And anyway, I ended up flying. Flew up there early Thursday morning, and I turned all my work over to my program manager. She's awesome, Ashley, and she took care of all my students and everything for a couple of days, and I didn't have to worry about a dang thing. She's awesome. So I get to the airport early. I think I was up, Lori, at 4:30 in the morning on Thursday, and flew up. Had an empty middle seat, so I got lucky again there, as I often do, and I flew into Richmond, and I hadn't planned on it, but right near the airport are a couple of national cemeteries. So I visited the Richmond National Cemetery, which I had been to before when I dropped Charlotte off at the FBI Academy in Quantico. I did a Civil War tour for about a week, and so anyway, I had been there, but it was so close to the airport. I said, I cannot stop here. I cannot not stop here. So I stopped by Richmond National Cemetery, and then just down the road is another cemetery called, what is it called? Let's see. Fort Harrison. Fort Harrison is another quaint little cemetery. Has I don't know, a couple hundred Civil War era veterans in it. So Richmond, Fort Harrison, and then not too far from the airport is another national cemetery called Five Pines. So I visited there. It wasn't out of my way. It's right near Richmond. And then I stayed in Hampton, Virginia, which is just across the St. John River Bridge from where Abby, Will, and the grandkids live in Carrollton. So I stayed in Hampton. So I visited the Hampton National Cemetery. It turns out it's on the campus, or the campus of historical Black college has been built up around it. It's called Hampton College. And anyway, so I visited Hampton National Cemetery, which is a new one for us. So I will add it to the map. And then right next to Hampton National Cemetery is an interesting little cemetery, probably the smallest cemetery I've ever visited, but it has a distinct name of its own from Hampton. It's only like a football field away from Hampton, but it's called the Veterans Administration Medical Center National Cemetery, and it's a little cemetery plot right outside the VA hospital in Hampton. Has about 20 veterans in it. It's a small little thing. Go to the Speaking of Zane Facebook group and you'll see my pictures there. But it has about 20. So the story is those were 20 veterans that died that were in that were patients in the hospital, and most of them were Spanish American War veterans, and they died of the Spanish flu. Wow, how about that? Not all of them. Some of them died of other reasons, but most of them died of Spanish flu. And just an interesting place for sure. And then, yeah, so that was, I had not planned to do any of that on this trip. It was all about the retirement ceremony of my friend Greg and then seeing the grandkids. But these places are so close, and Virginia is so rich with history. It's just an incredible thing. But anyway, so that was crazy there. But anyway, back to Greg's retirement. The whole reason I took the trip up there, he invited me, and I get there. It's at a winery, Williamsburg Winery, and they only live just around the corner. He bought a house there a couple of years ago, and let's see, it was just an awesome thing. It was an awesome retirement ceremony. It kind of hit me because him and his colleagues have all been serving for 20 years, so they're in that joined on or after 9/11. So he did deployments in Afghanistan and Iraq. He deployed with the 3rd Infantry Division. And this generation is incredible. I mean, it's an incredible generation, the post 9/11 generation. But anyway, it hit me kind of hard because these are airmen, him and his colleagues, who I got to meet a bunch of at the ceremony. And then after, we went to Greg's house for bourbon and cigars. And these are airmen that joined the Air Force 20 years after I did, and now they're retiring. And that'll make you feel old right there. But it was so incredible to spend some time with them at Greg's house out on the deck, having cigars and listening to them. These are senior NCOs and officers talk about their impending retirement and their transition to civilian life. And turns out that most of these guys have been involved in information technology, cyber, and other things along the way. And so once they found out my background and my history and what I do today and my time at Cisco and worldwide, they all knew about worldwide technology. We do a lot of things with the military. But anyway, it was just interesting to spend time with them, listen to them talk, and listen to them talk about preparing for departing the Air Force after they retire. And I was able to give some advice, and just an interesting thing. I got to meet the guy that Greg chose to be his presiding officer over the retirement was a guy that he served with at his first duty station, Dyess Air Force Base, Texas. They were both enlisted airmen, and now this young man is a major. So he went to OCS and became a major. Now he's doing all kind of crazy stuff. He was a TACP officer. Now he's doing all kind of IT kind of stuff. And anyway, it was just a fascinating time to be able to talk to a next generation of airmen there. But I had a great time. The ceremony was awesome. It was at a winery, as I mentioned. There was an honor guard present. It had a really great narrator, and just an awesome experience to be part of it. When he was giving his remarks and everything, he was thanking all of his colleagues and commanders, and he spent a tour working at the White House Communications Agency and all this awesome stuff that he's done over his career. But in his retirement speech, he called me out by name, Guy McDonald, a little bitty nobody compared to all the things he's done in his career. He called me out and thanked me for reviving his interest in amateur radio, and that's how we know each other. And I was humbled to the point almost of tears that a guy would acknowledge me during his retirement ceremony. Just a crazy thing. But anyway, I wish him nothing but the best. I'm actually trying to make some connections for him and see where that leads. And yeah, what a great time that was. I gave him a gift, a book. One of the books I've enjoyed recently called Extreme Ownership is the name of the book, and it's by a retired Navy SEAL officer called Jocko Willink, who I've had the opportunity to hear speak. And I enjoy his book and the principles in it, and I gave that to Greg, and also gave Greg a challenge coin, right? I gave Greg I gave him his first post-retirement challenge coin. He has a gazillion challenge coins, as you might imagine, throughout the course of his career. And but I gave him one, and I wanted to be the very first person to give him a challenge coin post-retirement. And I gave him a challenge coin that says United States Air Force retired. And he appreciated that. And he reciprocated. I wasn't expecting this, but he gave me a coin, which I will treasure. And it's one of his coins from his time at the White House Communications Agency. You can't see with the glare there, but it's in the shape of a dog tag to signify the military members of WACA, they call it, the White House. Can't see that. It says supporting the president. Well, shoot, you're not going to be able to see but anyway, just a special thing there that Greg shared with me, and I appreciate that, Greg. But yeah, anyway, so that was a great Thursday night, and incredible. But so I stayed in Hampton. We went to Greg's place after, and like I mentioned, had some cigars, and he had smoked some pork butts and stuff. Anyway, but the next day was all about the grandkids, and like I mentioned, Lori and I had planned to drive up there together, and but we're gonna have to figure that out. Will and Abby are in the process of moving. I've mentioned that our son-in-law Will is now a naval officer after being an enlisted guy, and he's getting transferred up to Maine, New Hampshire, Maine, and so they're looking to sell their house now in Virginia and move up there. So we're gonna have to figure out the timing of all of that. But anyway, I got to spend some time with the grandkids on Friday. I took the whole day Friday, and I showed up, and there's 6 of them up there. There's Colton, Paisley, Jackson, Gavin, Bear, and Kai. They have 6 of these rascals between the both of them. And anyway, I showed up, got over there late morning to Carrollton, Virginia, just across the bridge from Newport News, and had the best time. Got to hang out with them. They showed me their pet rat and their rooms and their toys and all of that stuff, and we just had a great time. And then I took Colton, and Colton and I have talked about doing some military history stuff. He's into military history. He's 10 years old. He's our first grandkid. He's Zane's son, and so we have this special connection, and he said, "Granddad, he would text me, and I want to do some history stuff with you." And so we did that. And he and I struck out, and we did the Virginia War Museum, which is just right down the street from their house. And he was telling me all the history of all this, the weaponry and the tactics. And the kid's only 10. And he was telling me all the, this and that. And he was telling me about the Germans and the Russians on the Russian front and all of these details. And I'm like, how in the world do you know all this at 10 years old? Well, we had a wonderful time at the Virginia War Museum. And then just a couple miles down the road, we went to Air Power Park, which is there in Hampton. And they have a whole bunch of static display aircraft and missiles and rockets and all kind of stuff. And probably 400 airplane models on the inside. We did that, had a wonderful time there. He and I love a lot of the same things, just like his dad did. Let's see. So so we left the air park and went back to a fun park that all the kids like to go to. And we met Abby and Will and the other kids, Kai, Bear, Paisley, Gavin, Jackson. We met them all there. And they got to play on all the stuff there at the park, had a really good time there. And then left there with me and Colton and Paisley. That Paisley is Zane's daughter. So me and Colton Paisley went, and I had one other place I wanted to go. Colton and I wanted to go, and we decided to take Paisley. And we went to, where did we go? Fort Monroe, which is right there, down there on the tip of Hampton. So we went to Fort Monroe and had a really good time looking at the lighthouse and all these old Civil War era homes, and looking at all of the history there. And we went to the beach. There's a beach there, and went to the beach, and we all went out and put our feet in the surf, and just had a really good time there at Fort Monroe. I had never been. And then we left there and decided we would get some ice cream. And so, Paisley wanted ice cream. So I said, well, where should we go? And she said, well, there's this place. And it turns out there's a place in Smithfield, Virginia. And Smithfield, the famous Smithfield pork, bacon, all of that. So we went to Main Street, downtown Smithfield. They have a ice. It's only like 5 miles from their house. They have an ice cream parlor there. So we get to the place. I said, yeah, we go get ice cream before we take you guys home. And so we get to downtown Smithfield and we park. Well, there's this live concert going on in the square on Main Street. And so we had to stop there. It was just beautiful Friday night, beautiful weather. And Colton and Paisley were having a blast. And so we did that. And just a block from there was the ice cream shop. So we get into the ice cream shop. I'm thinking, okay, we're going to have some ice cream. And Paisley said, Granddad, I think I could eat a hot dog. I'm like, okay, well, let's have some dinner. So we ended up having dinner there, and then had some ice cream, and then something touched my heart. Paisley looked at her brother Colton and said, Colton, we are having the best day ever, aren't we? Oh God, my eyeballs started leaking. But just a precious little girl. She's 8, and Colton is 10. But it was awesome. So we had that, and then we ended up going back home. But Colton. So I got to throw this conundrum out there, because Colton, I haven't even told Lori this yet, but we're walking through the Virginia War Museum, and Colton. This kid reminds me so much of his dad. But Colton says, hey, Granddad, and you kind of have to whisper in there. It's not a place where you talk loud. Hey, Granddad. And he leans in to me and he says, Did you know that anyone can dig a hole, but it takes a real man to call it home? And I thought for a minute, and I'm like, I have no idea what the hell you're talking about. And I said, okay. And I'm still trying to figure it out. And it reminded me so much of Zane. I could feel his dad when he posed that to me. And I'm like, I didn't even ask him what it meant, where he got it from. I don't know. But he says, did you know that any man can dig a hole, but it takes a real man to call it home? And I'm like, something's wrong with you, boy. I don't know. Anyway, but what a great visit. And the two kids kept asking me, not just the two, but um, uh, Bear and Jackson and the others were like, where's Grammy? Why isn't Grammy with you? And they know they're Grammy because Grammy sends them stuff all the time. And Grammy talks to them on the phone. But I told them she wasn't able to make this trip, but that she would, and she will. We'll have to figure out if she wait. They're trying to sell their house, and it's crazy right now. It's a madhouse with 6 kids anyway, but we might have to wait till they get up to New Hampshire or Maine and let Lori run up there for a couple of weeks. But anyway, just incredible visit with them, and dropped them off, and big hugs and kisses and everything, and got to hang out with Abby and Will for a little bit. And Will gave me this bucket hat. It's CVN 80. CVN. I didn't even know there was a CVN 80. This is a brand new aircraft carrier that the keel was just laid on, and it's the new Enterprise. And there's been an Enterprise, and Will actually deployed on the Enterprise. And Will was one of the sailors that helped decommission the Enterprise. Will's a nuclear engineer on the nuclear power plant, but so Will has a special place in his heart for the Enterprise. Well, the new Enterprise is just had its keel laid, and Will got to go to the keel laying ceremony, and they had a bunch of this kind of stuff. He gave me a few things from that. If you remember, in December of 2019, he invited me to come up there for the commissioning of the brand new John F. Kennedy, which he's been assigned to for the last several years. So he's been responsible for helping stand up the nuclear power plants on the brand new JFK. So anyway, it's kind of cool. I always enjoy time with him, and he told me a little bit about what he'll be doing when he gets up to Maine now as an officer, naval officer. And it doesn't have to do with aircraft carriers, which will be interesting. So I can't tell you too much there. But anyway, what a great time that was. But okay, what else is going on? Well, the Braves are doing pretty good. I think Toby, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we're within a game of the Mets. The Mets lost today. The Braves won. The Braves have won 5 in a row. And I think we're within a game of the Mets. So the Braves are doing good. I'm enjoying watching them play. Weight loss. Well, let's see. 56 pounds. That's where we're at, 56 pounds. And when I go out of town, I can't eat necessarily the way that I do at home. And what it means is I usually just eat less. But anyway, sticking at the 56-pound mark. But we have a new challenge at work that we just started last week. Which is not weight loss centered. It's all about activity. It's all about did you sleep 7 to 9 hours, and how many steps are you walking every day? So the maximum points, because it's a competition, and I have a little team of six of us, but it's a competition, and it's centered around steps. So I upped my daily walk from 2 miles to 3 miles. That gets me another 2,000 steps. And then my regular rest of the day, I'm trying to get to 10,000 steps a day. But we'll see how things go with the new challenge. But my team is currently, of the hundreds of teams that are involved, my team is in 23rd place. We're doing pretty good. 23rd place isn't bad, considering there's a couple hundred, I think. And I got 2 miles in today. I went to Georgia National Cemetery to see Zane. I hadn't been there in probably 3 weeks more. And I went out there. I had to run out to Cartersville anyway, so I ran on out to Georgia National. I almost said Jefferson Barracks, Georgia National, and I walked 2 circuits there. Well, not quite 2 circuits. I did 2 miles today. But yeah, good stuff there. What else do we got going on here? We got our 10th Acts reunion coming up on September 16th, 17th. I'm working on a treasure hunt. No, what is it called? What is it called, Lori? What's that we did with the My Warriors place? Scavenger hunt. So Amy has placed me in charge of the scavenger hunt. So we'll be doing a scavenger hunt in Branson. So I'm still working on that. Last Sunday night, I reported that Monday, the Artemis 1 rocket would launch to go to the moon. It did not launch. Then it was put off till Saturday, yesterday. It did not launch. Now, the latest that I understand is it's postponed until at least September 19th. And it has to do with physics and geography and all that stuff. But anyway. Let's see. Oh, got a couple of books. Lori had ordered these things, I think, for Father's Day or something. I don't remember, but she gave these to me tonight, and I tell you what, I cannot wait to start reading them. This is a series of books that I had never heard of called "The Things Our Fathers Saw," and this is one of them. Things Our Fathers Saw, and this is The War in the Sky. The War in the Sky. And then the one right after that, Combat, Captivity, and Reunion. Man, I cannot wait to read these books, but I've got about 20 other books in the queue, but I'm going to move these ahead, and I'm going to move another book ahead of them, because I saw my brother was reading this book tonight, and it reminded me of it. And this is a book, you've probably never heard of this book, but I would recommend it if you like Vietnam books. And this is an accurate account of an operation that occurred in Vietnam. This one is called Operation Tuscaloosa. Let's see, I'll leave it up there for a second. Operation Tuscaloosa. And my dad was part of this, and he's mentioned in the book, actually. And so it's got a special place. But Operation Tuscaloosa, I've probably not read it for 10 years. So I'm going to read it again. Operation Tuscaloosa. Get yourself a copy of that. Okay. Well, let's see. That was probably the longest monologue of Speaking of Zane that I have ever had. But anyway, the hat of the week. Hat of the week always has something to do with what's going on with me, or what I've done, or what's happening. And a couple of you already guessed it along the way. But the hat of the week is from, I'm a hat guy, so I had to pick up a Williamsburg Winery ball cap while I was there at the retirement ceremony. So that is indeed the hat of the week. All right. Well, Aunt Paula's late, but she is here. Hey there, Aunt Paula. How are you? Down near Tampa. All right. Well, that's okay, because I'm running long-winded tonight, and I have got a flat iron steak in the oven, so I'm going to have to speed it up here. This week in military history, we got a couple of items here. On August the 29th of 1916, the Marine Corps Reserve was founded. This happened to do with World War I. They realized, hey, we need a reserve force of Marines. And so they started with like 300 and something reserve Marines. Anyway, they've been around now since 1916. So happy birthday, Marine Corps Reserve. And the second item, September the 2nd, which would have been Friday, 1945, was VJ Day, Victory in Japan Day, Victory over Japan Day. VJ Day, and it would officially be celebrated on the day of the formal surrender documents were signed aboard the USS Missouri in Tokyo Bay. So September 2nd, 1945, VJ Day. All right, let's move on here to the Veteran Cemetery Challenge. We had a lot of visits this week. I mentioned the ones I made. Richmond, Fort Harrison, Five Pines. All three I had been to before, but they were so close I could not stop. I could not stop. And then Hampton National Cemetery, a new one for me, and then the VA Medical Center Cemetery in Hampton, brand new for me. And then I made a visit today out to Georgia National Cemetery to spend some time with Zane, and I got a little walk-in there. It was raining. The clouds were down, Lori. The clouds were down to the flagpole. The clouds were so low that they were blowing through the cemetery there. Daryl visited Jefferson Barracks National Cemetery. Was it today, Daryl? It was yesterday or today. Jimbo Miller made a visit to St. John's and Omaha National, as he often does. So thank you guys for both chronicling that. So if I add everything up, we had 9 visits over the week, and 2 of those were new. Two of the new ones that I got. So I'll have to plot those on our map. So we are currently sitting at 674 visits to 161 different cemeteries. How about that? Not too shabby. Okay, Daryl got 2 in there. I thought I might have missed one, Daryl. So I'm gonna do you a ×2, and that'll be 10 visits that we had this week, and that'll make 675 visits, getting close to the 700 mark there. Pretty awesome, if you ask me. All right, how about the Think of Vet Challenge? Wow, I cannot wait to tell you. Hang on a second, because Google is telling me I have an alarm here. Hey, Google, stop. The alarm is for my flat iron steak, so I'm going to have to speed it up here. Okay, so here's the visits that we had this week in no particular order. Jimbo had 2 Air Force thank yous. When I say visits, I meant thank yous. Aunt Paula had an Air Force member, a Pasco County deputy, 4 veterans that she met at an election event, another Air Force veteran at a different activity, along with a Navy veteran, and then she thanked a Florida State trooper and gave the trooper one of Lori's Back the Blue cards, I think. Back the Blue, or maybe it was one of the thank you cards, but Aunt Paula said that the state trooper was a female, and she was pleased to receive the thank you. So how about that? Let's see. And then I had the Delta gate agent in Richmond yesterday was Army, and we had a little banter about that. I thanked 2 guards at Hampton National Cemetery. They weren't guarding the cemetery, but they were guards for the university. It's called, it's a historical black college. It's called Hampton College, I think. Anyway, 2 guards there were both veterans, and got to thank them. And then I thanked 6 airmen at the retirement ceremony, a Navy veteran at the Virginia War Museum. And then, of course, I thanked Will and Greg. So I think I had 1, 2, 3, 9, 10, 11. And then here is Ken's activity for the week. So Ken went out of town for business this week, and he does some consulting back to the military. Of course, he's a retired Air Force officer. But Ken thanked 7 folks, 2 gate guards, 2 missile launch officers, and 3 command post personnel. He said all were very appreciative. One of the gate guards thanked him for his service. And then the next day, he thanked 6 active duty Air Force folks, the next 2 days, 2 gate guards, a missile operator, 2 command post troops, and 1 outstanding airman. Literally, he says he was fortunate to thank one of the Air Force's 12 outstanding airmen of the year for 2022. How about that, Ken? Senior Airman Monica A. Figueroa Santos is her name. So Ken said she's quite an impressive individual. And then Ken said while he was walking through the lobby of billeting, he came across 3 new squadron commanders who were there for a conference. And of course, he had to stop and chat with them and thank them for their service. And then, so listen to this for a small world. Ken was in the airport on his way back and ran into a former missile officer that was a friend of his at the airport. He said they hadn't seen each other for 28 years, and it was like they had seen each other yesterday. Just incredible. That's the way it is. And of course, he thanked him and his aide. Turns out this guy's a general now. And then let's see, Ken was picking up dinner the other afternoon, ran into an Air Force vet and thanked him for his service. And he said that made his day. And Ken said, which is incredible, Ken said, the power of speaking of Zane continues. So how about that? So Ken had 7 Air Force, 6 Air Force, 3 Air Force, 2 Air Force, 1 Air Force. So Ken had a phenomenal week. And if I total all those up, there were 41 thank yous this week from this group of patriots. So that puts our total Thank a Vet challenge count to 1,646. So wow, we're coming up on the 2,000 mark. And do you guys see this little kid that's behind me, or is he invisible like he thinks he is? His name is Everett. Hi, Everett.
Hello.
He is 5 years old in kindergarten, almost 6.
You mean 5.5?
5.5. And his middle name, who's your middle name?
Zane.
Zane. Who are you named after?
Everett Zane.
Everett Zane. Who's your uncle? Uncle Zane.
Uncle Zane?
Yes. All right. Okay, so that's the Thank a Vet challenge. You guys did an awesome job this week, Ken. I love reading your posts. You know, Ken, when I read your written word, but I can feel your emotion in it. Does that make sense? It's crazy. So thank you for doing that. I appreciate it. All right. Well, nothing really to report in the organization section. Just there's still time for the Duck Duck Derby at My Warriors Place, September 24th. I know a lot of you have already bought your tickets there for that. Me and my colleagues continue to monitor the network down there. Oh, we had a shout out at my work on LinkedIn and some other places about our work there at My Warriors Place. We'll be doing another activity work day down there sometime in October, late October, I think. All right. And that is it for the week, I believe.
No.
Yes, it is. Do you want to say goodnight to everyone?
I'm a little shy. You forgot to say that.
I forgot to say what?
I'm a little shy.
You're a little shy?
Yeah.
He's a little shy, he says. As he...
Wait, it says, the comment says, hi, Abby, come and see Grammy.
He can read, too. The kid just started kindergarten, but he can read. He says, hi, Abby. Grammy says, hi, Abby, come see Grammy.
I'm going to see
You're going to see Grammy? Okay, I'll see you later. So his mama, Hannah, who also is an Army veteran, decided to honor her brother Zane when Everett was born, and she named him Everett Zane. So I cannot look at Everett without thinking of Zane because that's his middle name. So anyway, folks, that is it for tonight. I've gone a little bit longer than I normally do, but hopefully you guys enjoyed the updates there, and we'll look forward to seeing everybody next Sunday. Enjoy Labor Day tomorrow. We are off, like I'm sure all of you are, and I'm going to smoke a butt tomorrow, and we'll see what this new week has in store, and we'll look forward to seeing all of you guys again next Sunday night for Speaking of Zane. Keep up the great work. Like I said, thank you guys for joining me, letting me spout. I have a big mouth. Well, indulging me and letting me talk about all these things and share about Zane and related items. And you guys are the absolute best. So we'll see you guys next Sunday night for Speaking of Zane. God bless.